are rolling right along. I'd like to bring to the stage Mr. Tobe. He's the founder and CEO of Smart Moving. He bootstrapped Smart Moving in 2018, grown it to over 1,500 customers across the U.S. and Canada, or something around that. And man, I've personally been around him over the last couple of years, and he is so smart. He loves the moving industry. He cares for you guys insanely amount. And so both him and I are going to go through today how to use a CRM, talk about sales, and talk about marketing all in one to leverage as much possible. So Tobe, why don't you go and take it away?
Awesome. Thanks, Travis. Good to see everybody. I see a lot of our customers on the chat here, so it's great to see. So my name is Tobe Thompson. For those of you who don't know me, I founded Smart Moving back in 2018. It's actually, I was looking at the calendar 6 years ago this month. So it's been quite the journey. We didn't know anything about the moving industry when we started, and I definitely feel like it's way more complicated than we thought when we got into it, as I'm sure everybody knows. So it's been an interesting ride, and lots of great people in the industry. So I'll jump in here. So the takeaway for today is, number one, we're going to jump into some marketing benchmarks for movers. Our marketing team surveyed about 400 moving companies, and we've got quite a few kind of metrics, trends that companies are looking to implement this year. So there's a lot of different nuggets in there. About 40-page document. And at the end, we're going to share a QR code, and I think we're going to drop in a link as well. So you guys can download that for free here. It's about a 40-page report, and just kind of help you inform, how movers are thinking to approach the business this year with the downturn in the economy. Travis is going to walk through some strategies to maximize your marketing efforts. And so there's several techniques. Our plan, I think, Travis, our plan is to be somewhat tactical here, right? We want to get some practical tips to let people get their money's worth. And I'm going to walk through some practical tips to convert more of the leads. So once you've driven more leads in, how do we maximize that? And number two, once we've got those leads, how do we do a better job of closing those leads? So let's jump in and just look at, again, these are just a few of the highlights of our benchmark report. First off, I think something that was kind of, somewhat interesting to see, 5% or less of people are spending, or 33% of people are spending less than 5% of their revenue on marketing, which I think we might agree is a pretty low number. We do see that about 42% of people are looking to increase this year. I think with people trying to drive more leads, we've talked to a lot of movers that are trying to ramp up their spend because they're just not getting the lead volume that they need. And so, a lot of people looking to ramp up their spend. But in general, we see a good benchmark is 10 to 12% of your revenue spent on marketing. And I like to think of that as looking at your various marketing channels. So you could have paid advertising, you could have Yelp, Angie's List, you've got a referral program, those different things. But you want the blend of those channels to be 10 to 12%. You might see some of those channels a little bit higher, but the blend of all those across the channels, you want to make sure it's in that 10 to 12% range. That's kind of a healthy range we see. If you're starting out, you might want to spend a little bit more to try to get market share. But in general, this 10 to 12% is the right target. Now, what do you guys see, Travis, when you talk to consumers? What are they moving companies as far as their spend goes?
We're seeing 10 to 12%. Some of the top performing ones are spending actually just a little bit more if they're trying to get into a new market, or if they're beginning at the beginning stages, they're spending more to catapult that lead generation, 10 to 12%. Those who are spending a lot less are kind of maintaining. They're usually cutting back on marketing spend and choosing very strategic areas and then kind of maintaining. They're usually not cutting back and trying to grow. So it depends on what their goal is as a company.
Gotcha. And I think also too, just making sure you're tracking this. If you're spending money on Google, you're getting those clicks, people fill out that form on your website. You need to take it all the way through and make sure we're tracking to the conversion level what the return is, and making sure you're getting the bang for the buck, and monitor these channels, right? Test, track, tweak. Some channels might work out well. Sometimes of the year you might want to dial back in the busy season on your ad spend when there's a lot of leads to be had, cut back on that so that your overall spend for the year is kind of in line. Taking a look here at some of the other benchmarks. So 73% of the moving companies we surveyed are running paid ads. So that's across the top three: Google, Yelp, Angie's List. I know that's kind of a topic sometimes as far as movers go. The average spend is about $2,000. That's obviously depending on your move volume and what that percentage is, but we see on average about $2,000 monthly spend on paid advertising. And then about a quarter of the leads are coming from referrals. I think we saw in one of the previous sessions, if you want to be able to have a good average on your marketing spend, you've got to be cultivating those referrals. We've heard Eric talk about apartment moves earlier. Just there's kind of a personal story. When I first moved to Dallas, which is where we're based here, I moved every year into a new apartment. And I never had, probably a dozen times, I never had a single moving company call me back up like towards the year, when my lease might be up. Not one moving company in about a dozen years ever called me back up and asked me, hey, am I moving? Would I like to use their company again? So cultivating those referrals, that repeat business, I think is key to making sure you've got a healthy margin, healthy spend on your advertising. And then the top 3 referral marketing partners we see: realtors, property managers, and move managers. I was at a talk at a conference not too long ago, and they talked about senior move managers. There's a whole slew of senior move managers to talk to, and so a great way to build up that business for senior movers. And then social, we're looking at the common ones: Facebook, Meta, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I love the idea. Someone mentioned earlier, one of our breakout groups, about they're actually switching up their bonuses around their movers, not just paying them for reviews, but having them go out and do a little Facebook reel or something else, right? And they bonus some of their guys on different things to just kind of break it up. So making sure you're spreading the love across these various social media platforms. Okay, the key areas that the survey kind of outlined, highlighted that people are looking to improve this year: SEO, which Travis is near and dear to; decreasing cost per move on your paid ads, right? Clicks are not cheap, especially in the larger metroplexes. So how do we decrease the cost on those ads? Leveraging your current database for repeat customers, again, that referral program, and then just increasing your presence on your website. I mean, for most people, their website is their storefront, and having a nice website that presents your company in the best light when people are looking at multiple companies to decide who they're going to pick is key. Okay, let's jump into a few tactics here on maximizing your marketing.
All right. You mind if I take over here?
Yep.
Okay.
This is your area.
My area, guys. If you're sitting here going, hey, I already spend money on SEO, or maybe I want to start spending money on SEO, we're trying to give you tactical ways for you to get more value and to get better. And so the focusing on your local SEO is going to be the key, not the SERPs, not the search engines, but focusing on the map side where the maps pop up. 70% of the buying decisions are happening from the maps. And so if you go 1, 2, 3 miles from your office, just go on Google, on Safari, or go on a Google Maps and just type in movers near me, moving companies, and find out if your company comes up, and find out how far you can go before it doesn't come up, and make sure you start increasing that opportunity on that real estate that we talked about earlier. You can go to the next one here. I think I have some ways that you guys can do this on your own. Yeah, right here. If you focus on your maps, what you can do is you can actually find out how well you rank in a local area when grandmas and grandpas and families are searching from around in the city that you're at. If they're 3 miles away from your office, when they type in moving near me or best moving companies, does your location pop up? And so one of the things you can do today is you can actually go to brightlocal.com. That's brightlocal.com. And you can actually go through the process of buying local directories. These are like citations, and they're for the local presence, and it has an opportunity to help you increase your online visibility, specifically in the maps where most people are making buying decisions from. So if you go to brightlocal.com, it'll walk you through that process. You'll also be able to get a map scan grid of basically how well you're doing or how well you're not doing. And if you don't want to spend the money on that, you can always reach out to us and we can do that for free for you. So that's really how you're going to try to rein in the map side. Go on to the next one. Just so you guys know, when we talked about this, once you've identified your local area and you're looking at your map section, again, our goal is to go 1, 2, 3, 4 miles out, and for somebody to be able to Google movers near me and for your company to show up. Most of you, if you're not coming up in the 3, 4, 5, 6 mile radius, you're leaving opportunity you're leaving it on the table because there's people that are searching for your business to use your services. And then once you've identified this and you're doing well in your area, you repeat this process. And if you go to the next slide, and then the next slide after that, or the next bullet point here, and then one more, You repeat that process, you open up multiple locations in different areas, and you'll start gaining more real estate and increasing your sales and your lead generation. So I think there's a link here. Some of you guys have brought up, you're sitting here and you're going, hey, like I really actually kind of want to do this, but like I've been told you can't do UPS, can I use my home? If you click that link right now and then download it, you can also, if you're like, I don't want to do that now, you can just reach out to us and we'll send it to you. And it'll walk you through every single step that you need to look at, every opportunity, what's riskier, what's less riskier, and you can see how you can repeat this process in multiple areas. But if you're going to spend money on SEO, focus on the local side of things. And then you can go to the next slide here.
Yeah, I think for me, this was kind of a aha moment when you explained this to me earlier, that you've got that location, that maps location. That's free, right? Those are free placements. Those appear when someone searches and you are a local business. And then making sure you're trying to expand those in those other areas using various strategies on your address location, I think is pretty interesting.
Yep. All right, let's hit the next one here. The other thing that you guys can do is use photos in your Google listing. Many people have talked about that today. Here's what it does. It has the opportunity to actually push down your crappy reviews that these jerks leave for you, right? And so when you get these photo reviews, it's got geotagged information on those photos. And so when you're posting it to your reviews, or when someone is posting it to your reviews, Google's picking up all that geo data and finding out where that's at. And it actually will help not only push down your bad reviews, but increase your local rankings, because Google will see how relevant you are to that area. And I could go on and on about this, but I want to be cognitive of our time. So let's move on to the next one, because I want to give you guys one more key thing that you can do that TM brought up today, that I am even saying more urgently, you've got to do this. Go, if you're running Google Ads, even if you're spending money on a company to do it for you, have some accountability with them. I'm sure I can make you guys put in the chat a 5 if you've had a bad experience with paid advertising. But you can see here, go into the negative keywords on your paid ads, go and scroll, click on clicks, and find out if you've got searches that you're spending money on that aren't relevant. You can see right here, U-Haul rentals. That is not relevant. You don't want to be spending money on that, and come to find out you are. So once you get rid of these negative keywords and add them into that profile, you'll never spend that again. You'll actually make more money from your Google Ads spend. So a lot of great stuff here, Toby. I want to let you continue on here.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So, once you've got these leads, we're looking to obviously maximize the cost of those and minimize the cost of the leads. Once we get the leads in, how do we convert the most leads we possibly can? So just some tips. First off, 78% of consumers will purchase from someone, the first person that they get in contact with, even if they're more expensive. I can't tell you how many vendors I've called locally here for various reasons. You call people up, nobody answers the phone. What do? I go to the next one, right? I've searched XYZ near me, and just like you mentioned, and I just start going down the list. And so, ideally, you're treating these leads like a live phone call, but the first person to respond, even if they're more expensive, is winning the majority of the business. So 391% lift in lead conversion. Marcella mentioned this. Their target is 1 minute by responding within the first minute of a new lead submission. So again, treating those leads like a live phone call. I would say just showing up, doing these kind of basic things will win you a large percent of the business. And then 66% of the customers say speed is as important as price. Being able to get a hold of someone when they need something is just as important as the price.
I don't mean to interrupt, Toby, but I want to share the story, and I think it'll go with your next slide. I just recently moved, and I reached out to 3 different companies. I got calls from all of them, and on top of being the first to respond, the person following up with me and the person who called me first were the same person. First one to call me and first one to follow up in multiple areas. And they were the person top of my mind. I didn't have time to go through all the other, lead and estimates I got. It was whatever was up front. And so this is really important. And even me, a consumer, this happened to me, and the person who was first to respond and followed up won my bid.
Awesome. I wonder, posted a 1 in the chat here. Does anyone mystery shop their own company? Right? Do you have someone, a family member, a friend, shop their own company and find out how fast are we answering? How fast is the response? What does the follow-up process look like? I mean, if you're not doing that, again, those are just key data points in your business that you can take away, and then take that and those findings and implement some performance improvements back into your business. But I would take a family member, a friend, or somebody and fill out that form on your website and sit back and see what happens. If not, let Andy do it for you. I think you'll find some interesting things there. Okay, so we know a lot of movers. 5 minutes, got it. We know a lot of movers. Maybe you're busy on the truck sometimes. They've got to fill in. So if you can't answer the calls in a timely fashion, I highly encourage you to reach out to someone like Tim Krupp over at MoveBees. This Ring Savvy is another company that we've heard mentioned. They focus on field service businesses. That's by the minute, so they can answer your calls. They can book on sites. They can give basic pricing information. So anything is better than not answering the call, or worse yet, we get people that request demos for our software. We call them back, and it goes to a mailbox that's full. So you're paying for these leads, and then all of a sudden, they're landing into a full mailbox. Nobody calls them back. So there's some easy ways you can fix some of those problems, even if you're not large enough to have a full-time sales staff answering the calls, and even for after-hours calls is just low-hanging fruit, I think. Next, I think, again, a lot of people on this webinar are probably doing this, but just making sure we're holding people accountable. Making sure you're doing a proper follow-up sequence. You've got to call, text, email. You've got to repeat this process over the course of multiple days. And the research shows it's not how many times you follow up with people. You need to follow up, a number of times. What kind of drives people to maybe turn your business away from you is following up too many times in the span of a short period of time. So if you get a lead and you call them 3 or 4 times in the span of an hour, that might piss somebody off, right? But if you spread that out a couple of times, email, text, and the call next day, kind of spread those out. But you need to continue to follow up, because some people will, it takes an average of 7 touch points to convert people. So use a variety of follow-up methods. I think the processes that Marcella talked about, having a structured sales follow-up process, and then really also templatizing what you're doing. Like, don't let salespeople just randomly make up things. Like, have a good set of email and text templates that you're using. Here's the sample sequence. I just wanted to show someone how you can just map this out for your business. Map it out the course of several days, a week, 10 days, whatever you think is appropriate. And then, kind of a best practice that we see is what I call the last swing, the breakup email, essentially. At the end of this sequence, if you have not got in touch with someone, send them a rough guess quote based on, kind of their move size. And you'd be surprised at how many movers we talk to that last little, hey, by the way, just in case, here's a rough quote, 1 truck, 4 guys, about this, cost, or about this many hours, wins some business, right? So it's maximizing what you're doing. So be sure to send that last little piece there when you feel like you've exhausted your sequence. And every now and then those do come through, and every move helps, especially in this economy. Texting, I know a lot of people are probably texting, but you've got to text. 98% of people open a text message within 2 minutes of receiving it. So there's no necessary junk folders on a phone. People get those text messages. People respond much more quickly. So if you're not texting as part of your sequence, you definitely need to implement texting. It needs to be mobile friendly. If you're sending estimates, make sure those are mobile friendly estimates. They don't get those, and they're all jammed and everything wraps around, so it needs to look good. So if you're not texting, definitely you should be texting. And so just kind of wrap up some quick highlights here. Jump on Bright Local. There's a free 14-day trial. I think you can go and look at that heat map for your business and see where you're ranking in your local area. Okay. I'd say add 5 photos to your Google listing. We look at a lot of listing or reviews for movers. There are text reviews, not a lot of photos. So have people put those photos in. Google likes to see those, and those will come to the top, and they will, again, add more relevancy, more local SEO for your business. So take those photos. Go check your negative keywords. I guarantee you there's 1 or 2 right now you could pull out that you can stop paying for. If you don't have a phone system, if everything is going to your cell phone, please spend $20 or $25 a month to get something like Ring Central or Grasshopper or anything else that you can route to a third-party company if you needed to, or just have a proper phone system. And then document your sales process. These are all just low-hanging items, but I think sometimes we get busy and things get busy. We hire new people. We don't train them properly. If you can just implement some of these basic processes and then hold people accountable, you're going to do better than 80% of the people out there. It's just, the basic processes are key. And then we talked about the moving industry report. There's a QR code. I think we also, there's a link area here in your application on the bottom right. So either way, scan the QR code. It's about a 40-page guide on just trends and different things we're seeing in the industry and what movers are planning to do this year to help improve their business.
Awesome. Tobe, thank you so much for being here and sharing all this stuff.
I appreciate it, Travis, and thanks for all the people attending. It's good to see everyone.